My name is Norman Stone, and on April the 10th, 2019, I had a complete cardiac arrest. And the interesting thing about this is that I don't remember anything of that entire day, but my wife obviously and others have told me a number of the stories and given me a lot of the details. And I've also done some reading and some investigating of facts. And I guess I finally came to the conclusion that, first of all of these events, all of them are unique in some way, that they happen to different people, different circumstances, and all of them are the same in another way. And that is that one of the things I found by reading and asking questions and doing some investigation, that here in South King County, in the city where we live and in South King County, your chances of survival of a cardiac arrest or a heart emergency of any sort is greater than that than any other location in the entire United States. And that's primarily due to the resources we have here, the training, the equipment, the people, the resources, our medical community, and our first responders, and that sort of thing. And they came into play in my life, and so I'll just try to explain a little bit how that happened. I don't remember, but I'll tell you a part that I've been told, and that was we had an old dog. We had taken him to the vet, and he was going to have surgery, I think.
He had surgery.
Yeah, he had surgery. And I was very close to this whole dog, and so it used to be somewhat emotional for me, even though I tried to pretend not. But my wife tells me I was pretty emotional that day. And it was in the afternoon. We'd taken him in the morning. In the afternoon, we were on our way back to the vet to get the dog. And before we got in the car, my wife said, "No, I'm driving. You're too upset." And I don't know whether I argued or not, but nonetheless, she wound up driving, which was an unusual circumstance and certainly contributed to the success. In order to get to the vet, we have to drive right by the emergency room at St. Francis. And she did that and came to an intersection where we just take a left turn and go up the street a little ways, and there's the veterinarian. At that intersection, she says she asked me a question to which I did not respond. And she looked over at me, and I was obviously in a great deal of trouble. And she knew that something very serious was going on. And all she had to do was make a U-turn and go back the 4 blocks or 5 blocks, whatever it was, to the emergency room. But she didn't. She made a left turn, took about 15 seconds to get to the door of the veterinarian's office. She ran inside and yelled, and our vet, who's known us for 30 years, figured it out right away. And this is the first thing that was unique about our situation, and that is that she had a portable oxygen machine, and fortunately my wife had parked in exactly the right spot. The extension cord from the machine reached to the car. This vet threw my seat back, got on top of me, started CPR. My wife then started calling 911. Her assistant began administering oxygen. And that's a very unique feature of my survivability during that day. But it's not what saved my life. I mean, it was a tremendous contribution for sure. But my life was saved by a lot of different factors. And I really need to let my wife tell you what happened next because she witnessed everything.
Well, he died right in front of me. I've seen other people die, but I've never been around a catastrophic death before. And I watched my husband turn dark gray all the way to his toes and was motionless, basically. And I saw them putting the oxygen on him. The fire department responded very quickly. 2 police officers responded very quickly. I think we had an aid car and a fire engine, and we had at least 1 police car. We might have had 2. And I'm telling you, it was teamwork. It was like instantaneously, everybody knew what their part was to play. And this one officer, who wasn't a very large man, with one hand got my husband out of that car and down on the ground, and then the firemen started working on him immediately. And one of the firemen, I think it was one of the chiefs, one of the head people who was there anyway, kept me informed, because I have worked around a lot of medical things, and so I had a lot of questions. I wanted to know exactly what they were doing to my husband and why. And he never stopped a second. He answered every question I requested of him. He never paused for a second. Anything was a good question. And he kept me informed, and he helped me get a hold of my family so that I could get someone there to be with me. When they did resuscitate him, they had to shock him, I think, 3 times for him to come back. But when they shocked him that last time, literally I saw, it was like a miracle. Instantaneously, I saw paint go from the toes all the way up to the head. And it was like, wow. You know, I'd never seen anything like that before. They put him in the aid car, and I said, can I please see him before you take him? They told me he was, they had him breathing, and he was okay. They had him on, they had put a tube down the throat by that point in time. They had oxygen on him. And he helped me up into the side of the truck, and so I could get over and kiss my husband and say, I'll see you at the hospital. So I'm grateful for what they did for Norm. I mean, it was, if you want to see teamwork, it was like everybody knew exactly their part to play. But what I'm really grateful for, too, is they didn't forget me, because I also was in crisis at that point in time, and they really walked me through what was happening. The one officer drove me to the hospital. Another officer drove my car to the hospital. I mean, they just babysat me until my family got there, basically, is what they did. And then St. Francis was wonderful, too. I mean, everybody was. So he was considered a miracle. He was in a coma for 6 days. They were trying to be positive with me, but saying, we can't make any guarantees to you. But again, the hospital kept me very informed. And then he came around, and when he woke up, there was some short-term memory issues, but the long-term memory was intact. And he seemed to know where he was, and he didn't know quite what was happening, but he knew he had a lot of tubes in him and didn't understand exactly why. But he was really starting to cognitively come around and to respond to us and to questions, and to respond to if we asked him to move his fingers or his toes or whatever, he was doing that. He recovered and then went to rehab. We were in rehab for 8 or 9 days, I think. And they were wonderful. And then when we came home, the community provided Norm with a physical therapist, a cognitive therapist, I'm trying to think, a nurse who saw him every day. And there was a fourth one, and I can't remember what the fourth one was, but we had 4. Pardon?
Was it a speech?
Oh, speech. It was speech. A speech therapist. And they worked with Norm every day and gave him homework to do. And then they also worked with me because I wanted to do for him, and they were teaching me to make him do it, and to not expect more than he could do, but expect what he could do and let him do it. So that was fabulous. So when he started really coming around and doing well, we wanted to say our thanks to everybody. So we had the opportunity in June to go and meet with the firemen and the medics, and it was very emotional. And we spent a couple hours with them, and we all cried a little. And they told us, we never get to hear back what happens to the people we work on. So they were appreciative for that, and of course we were appreciative for their expertise and for their kindness and their care of him for that day. And then we also got to say thanks to the 2 police officers. We went to a Federal Way community meeting, and Norm was able to speak to them in front of the community and thank them. And it's part of who we are, that we believe you need to say thanks. But it's really what we need to teach our children and our grandchildren, that you circle back around the wagon and say thanks. Somebody else may be next that you could help with. And so it's been a bad experience and a good experience all in one. And it certainly has made us believe in our community and what our community has to offer us.
Well, during the process of rehab and dealing with all these therapists and everything who were just wonderful, the fact is that every test they gave me to administer my progress and my capacity, I passed them all. I did fine. I was able to be released by each in turn, and with good marks, and passed on then to a heart specialist who will monitor my progress from now on. But I've been able to resume a perfectly active life that's very much like the life I had before.
You also went to the heart clinic over at, it was an exercise clinic over at St. Francis?
Well, yeah, they have well, we call it a gym, but it's where they gather together people who are in recovery and do physical exercise. And that was very positive. I met people there. Some of them I still stay in contact with, and we were a good group, and we made our session there as enjoyable as it could possibly be, and engendered some friendships as a result. And I'd be happy to see any of those folks, even if I ran across them.
And we walked the heart walk. We pulled family and neighbors together, and people from the class, and we did the heart walk to raise money for heart care. And that was a positive experience. And again, I think with our grandchildren walking with us was memorable.
Yeah. And so the things I've been able to do since that time that have given me great joy is I had a granddaughter, get married in California, and I was quite able to travel, stay in a hotel, attend the wedding, all of the activities. I had no restrictions whatsoever. I even danced. I even danced at the big party. Danced quite a dance. And with everybody, and so that gives me great joy. I've been able to, I was cautious, personally cautious. They banned me from I'm a woodworker, and they banned me from my own self-created wood shop for a while, wisely so. And but as I restarted that, I have full function, and I can remember what I need to remember, and that kind of thing. I noticed I was teaching myself guitar and reteaching myself guitar, having not played in 30 or 40 years, and I did lose some of that. For some reason, I don't know why, I lost a little bit of enthusiasm for it, but that's been replaced by I'm making ukuleles and guitars in my shop, and will eventually give all these things away. But basically, we're living the same life. My heart, cardiac arrest hasn't interfered with our life going forward. The pandemic right now has separated us from things that we took a lot of joy, mainly our grandkids and seeing family and stuff like that. But that will end, and we're being appropriately careful, and we'll get through this too. So.
We feel lucky for the community that responded to us. And as Norm did the research and we found out, wow, we were in the right spot at the right time. And you can't take that lightly. And so we're very grateful. It makes us, I think the cardiac arrest makes you look back and be more grateful for every day. He was always the healthy one. This wasn't going to happen to him. So it did, and we learned how much our neighbors loved us, our family, how much our community loved us by the way they responded to us. Funny story about when they put the oxygen on Norm at the vet. They had to use a dog oxygen mask, so we have that. I asked to have that. So Norm always, when he spoke to the police, he said, "Who would have known that my mug was the size of a German Shepherd?"
Use the same one.
So you have to find laughter and some giddiness a little bit about some of it, but that's our story, and we're grateful.
Well, and we also found out about the foundation.
Yes.
The Southgate County employees have, right? Rescue employees have, and we found out about this foundation. It turns out it's supported mainly by the employees, but we made a contribution to that and listed all the names of all the people that helped us out and did it in their honor.
And Norm wrote a personal note to each person on the fire, for the firemen and the rescue workers.
Yeah. So.
He, again, trying to be grateful. Huh?
Wonder if it was getting too hot with the sun on there.
Yeah.
Shut off. But that's perfect timing. Yeah. Yeah, that's good.
Anything else you want to know?
That's where we are.
Yeah. No. One last thing, if you don't mind, if you can wrap it up with enjoying. You looking forward to more walks with Buddy?
Oh yeah.
Pick up Buddy. We do have a new puppy.
Yeah.
They got to see him before, right? I think I'll leave him.
Or if they want to see him, he's going to put him on the film.
Okay.
You need a hand?
No, we got it.
I've learned to leave sleeping dogs. Oh! What happened? What happened? Okay.
All right.
All right,
Scared
got
him.
his little paw.
Yeah.
There we go.
Sorry, buddy.
That's all right.
That's Buddy.
So,
Buddy is named after my father. That was my father's nickname.
well, it turns out our old dog didn't make it, and not too long after I recovered and came home, a couple of months, I guess, after that, he finally passed on, and it was, of course, very sad for us. And after thinking it over and also living without, we decided that it was real important to get another dog. And so we found a dog that's a little smaller, who will probably stay close to home, but one of my great joys was walking with Doc all over the place. And I always knew I wanted a shop, and so I laid this out so we can still get 2 cars in and have the shop here. This is the mainstay, workhorse, 3-horse, 10-inch table saw.
So what are you making here?
These are all ukuleles, and they're in process. These happen to be tenor ukuleles. That refers to their size. And I'm in the process, the tedious part of fitting the neck and everything, and then this all has to be shaped. This is one that, well, anyway, this all has, I have one inside there that a little more done, but anyway, nice tone.
You made that bowl.
So, come on, buddy. Let's go. There we go.